Here we are with Sebastian Serrano of Ripio in Buenos Aires.
Finally.
So great to be here with you.
In person. It's
person.
Been like many years.
So many years since we did talk. I interviewed you for my book. I think you've also been in the Defiant podcast, but many years ago. So great to have you back, and again, like doing it from Argentina is extra special. So
a pleasure.
Welcome to the Defiant podcast. Obviously, you've been around crypto for ages, too long. Real true OGs. One of the first exchanges and projects building in the space with Ripio. So just to get everyone on the same page. Can you start by just briefly describing what Ripio is today? And then I'd love to go over, go back in history to the founding story and how it's developed to be what it is today.
Today we're one of the largest platforms in crypto. We have a wallet, a retail wallet that was our original business. We also run an exchange. We do a lot of corporate and B2B deals where we are partners of very large companies across the region. We're the partner for crypto of Mercado Libre. We also have Itaú, which is the largest bank in the region as a client. Mercado Libre is the largest company by market cap in all Latin America, not only in technology. And in Argentina, we are also partners with Invertir Online, which is the largest broker for stocks. We also run an OTC desk, which is the largest OTC in the region. We operate in Argentina and Brazil, which are our largest markets, but we also operate in Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, Chile. We have a money transmission license in Florida, and we're authorized by the Central Bank of Spain, which we have an initial operation. Today we reach 11 million users, but that is growing very fast, and with recent news is going to grow much faster. The company is about 300 people. We started in April 2013, 11 years old, so very early.
What was that initial idea that led you to Ripio? If you can talk about your background, like how you got into crypto and what led you to starting Ripio.
I'm a nerd. I code from a very young age. I started coding at 8. I'm from Patagonia, from the south of Argentina. And very early I started to be around startups, build an internet service provider in my hometown, study physics, and then switched to computer science. And by the end of computer science, I was running a software factory, working mostly for startups in the US, in the Silicon Valley. And in 2012, it was very hard to charge clients to get paid for our work, and looking for alternatives. Like there were at the time like very strong capital controls, similar to now in Argentina, and looking for ways to get paid. I stumbled on Bitcoin and I started using it without understanding it much. Like really, like first months using it, did not know that there were 20 million Bitcoin limits. Did know very little about how the blockchain worked, but I managed to do many transactions. Get paid in Bitcoin, sell it on local Bitcoins, and one moment like it was working, I would say, well, I need to really understand this, and I got really deep dive into the technology, and then I fall in love, and it was like, Jesus, I need to work on this. This is gonna change humanity. It's so important for our region. It's so important for Argentina. At the time, I was based in San Francisco, but I said like need to work on this for Argentina, like a country that had so many times very like hyperinflations and very strong crises. Like I'm 40 and I've seen 4 major crises and I learned like about inflation from a young age, and it was like I need to work on this. So in April 2013, started the company with two co-founders, and initially doing payments because we had some knowledge there, and like it's the angle that we thought that we could provide value and create value. But like a few months in, in 2014, early 2013, we realized that there was no market for crypto. Like there was no place where our clients could sell their bitcoins they were getting. And then is when we realized, well, we need to go like lower and like build the access. And then the original name was Bitpagos, and that is when we rebranded and the name Ripio appeared, and we realized more about our mission. As I grew up in Patagonia, most of the roads are made of Ripio. Ripio in Spanish means gravel, and we got into the word because like it's a metaphor for like building roads to access to crypto. Awesome. And to at that time there was only Bitcoin, but that grew into all that we are doing.
So you mentioned all these partnerships with huge companies, Mercado Libre, Banco Itaú. How did you transition from being focused on retail to now being more of a maybe a B2B company? What insight or conclusion led you to make that shift?
I think that's a trend in the industry. Crypto and Bitcoin started very retail, and it started from retail. And like that, a decade ago when we were starting, the thing to do was to create a wallet, was to create a retail experience for individuals to buy Bitcoin. And I'm proud that like we help as a company to have like a lot of people that bought their first Bitcoin. A lot of the people maybe here in Crecimiento bought their first Bitcoin with us or their first ETH. And that was the role that we need, like the market needed, like that, and the technology needed that. And a few years ago, we started to realize like that the industry was starting to also start getting a lot more institutions, and like a lot of the there was a lot of growth through that, and we realized that crypto is going to be everywhere. That is a technology that is going to be part of the toolbox, and there is no longer internet companies. Like at the beginning of the internet, maybe there were internet companies. Maybe long term, there's not going to be crypto companies, and this is going to be a technology that's going to be touching everything. Like every bank is going to offer crypto, every fintech is going to offer crypto, every commerce is going to integrate crypto. And rather than like and be we have always thought as our mission to boost and like drive adoption across access. All our products are about access to crypto, and it was like, well, maybe like the next phase of the company has to be to be that provider of infrastructure that connects with that allows like all these companies to add into their toolbox for building products and services, what crypto can offer.
Okay, so the idea is that now, for example, when you integrate with Banco Itaú, the idea is that Banco Itaú will now be able to offer their clients to buy and hold crypto, and they will do it through Ripio. Like you will provide that.
In the case of Banco Itaú, it's an integration with one of their fintechs, which is called Oca in Uruguay. This is their first project where they did this integration, where we provide custody for the assets and liquidity to buy and hold and sell Bitcoin, ETH, stablecoins. We're going to be adding more assets. But another big part of this is also helping companies to create tokens, and I think there's going to be a lot of innovation and creation of value from tokenization. And that is like today is a very big day because we just announced the launch of Mercado Dollar, which is the stablecoin of Mercado Libre, which is going to be a huge deal for us. It's going to bring a lot of users, and also it's very integrated in their platform. It's going to be very connected with Meli Plus, which is their loyalty program. So this is going to be one example of tokenization that I think is going to be very successful. And I also think that a ton is coming around real world assets and security tokens. That is also going to be a big part of the B2B offering.
So interesting. About the stablecoin for Mercado Libre, how does it work? So Mercado Libre now offers the ability to buy Bitcoin, right? Through Mercado Pago. So now users will be able to buy the stablecoin.
The stablecoin is called MUSD. And alongside Bitcoin, ETH, and other cryptos, they're also going to have the option to buy Meli Dollar. And it's a way for the user base to dollarize. This is launching first in Brazil. Brazil has been devaluating not as aggressively as Argentina, but like a lot for their history. And so this gives the users of Mercado Pago initially in Brazil. The next country is Mexico. The ability to get exposed to dollars, where today in Brazil there are no dollar accounts for retail users from banks. So this is a way for them to get access to and exposure to dollars.
Did they have access to stablecoin, like to USDT or USDC before through Mercado Libre?
Not in Mercado Pago, but and in Brazil particularly. But this gives them access to a first stable, and also this is what I also find it like super interesting is that it's also going to be very tied to their loyalty program. So cashbacks and like a lot of benefits are going to be associated with it, and I think this is going to be a great example for also other companies on how crypto can be integrated to a company.
Interesting. So do you see, how do you see this playing out? Like more fintechs maybe issuing their own stablecoins or their own tokens?
I think there's going to be multiple approaches to it. I think a stablecoin is something that is very attractive at the moment. And I think it's very easy to understand for the user. So it might be a very popular way to build such a program. But there's also could be like other companies that choose to not pay it to the dollar and let it float. And it's gonna depend a lot of like on local regulation and also like the needs of each company. Mercado Libre being like having like such a large fintech and such a massive user base is also going to tie it into payments, and that I think makes more sense to be on a stablecoin.
Protocol 20 introduces Sorbonne, which is Stellar's cutting-edge smart contracts platform. This creates new surface area for innovation and provides new opportunities for developers to build protocols and products that create access to everyday financial services. So it means a gradual increase in transaction capacity and a chance to fine-tune applications. And it's the most transformative upgrade to the Stellar network to date. Woohoo!
So it looks like we may be coming full circle to like where you started in payments.
Yeah.
Do you think that now Argentina and more broadly maybe Latin America is ready for crypto payments? Do you think there's that infrastructure or demand now, or still not yet?
Most of our volume right now is stablecoins. So we trade more stablecoins than Bitcoin or ETH or other altcoins, and and it has and it happens because Latin America has a lot of like very unique necessities, and stablecoins like are a great tool to solve many issues, or like generate efficiencies in markets. So, for example, here in Argentina, with so much devaluation, with so much restrictions to capital markets, the access to stablecoins gives safety to a lot of users. Like and they're able to dollarize and keep their savings this way. And it's also a market that runs 24/7 and it gives pricing all the time. Like it happened last year that during the election time there was a lot of uncertainty, and traditional markets don't only run from Monday to Friday. So a lot of news and a lot of like media was covering the crypto dollars during election days, which are Sundays, and it predicted, like it showed a lot what will happen to the dollar the next day when the market opened, and it became a big part of culture and like and general knowledge about like what the price of crypto dollars are, like and what are the stable coins. And this is a very strong use case here in Argentina. In other countries like Mexico, big percent of the remittances are done with crypto, but it's not because of restrictions, it's more for efficiency. Crypto runs 24/7, it doesn't have holidays, and Swift, if you are doing a Swift wire transfer and it's a holiday in the US, and it happens to be that it's a holiday in Mexico, and also happens to come like a weekend after, like it can take like more than 4 days to settle. That's a long time. Like,
and what about in terms of fees? Is it cheaper also?
It's cheaper, but the market this like today in Mexico, most of the use of crypto for remittances is actually by companies. So it's not the end user. Okay. It is like MoneyGram using crypto. And Ripio has a big part of that market too. So there are a lot of use cases. And coming back to your question about like maybe it's full circle and we come back to payments. Maybe it's the time. I'm not entirely sure. At the beginning, when we were doing payments and getting merchants, users will do 1 or 2 payments, like a few payments to test it out, to know that it was feasible to do a payment. But then what ended up happening is like people don't buy Bitcoin or ETH to spend it. They buy it to save money long term, or as an investment, and they're speculating it to increase in value. So they did not buy it because how they buy it and how they perceive it, they're not willing to spend it. Over the years, the only thing that we saw users spending their crypto was technology, like the cell phone, computers, or very high value things for the user, or travel, and very sporadic. Over the last few years, with the growth of stablecoins and the amount of users that have stablecoins, maybe that starts to shift. It is a bet. We are making that bet. We also have a VC fund. Last year, we invested in 3 companies that are doing payments, and we 2 of them are online. One is on the physical world, and we are now gonna be doing an experiment on the physical world with one of these companies, where we're gonna experiment on this again and see if it became time. I think eventually, for the amount of users that have crypto, and because of stablecoins that are a lot more spendable than Bitcoin or ETH, maybe we start seeing payments. But you also need to think that if Argentinians even think as a savings, as an investment dollars, because maybe they don't have all the literacy on investing, and they don't realize that they don't compound, but they also perceive dollars as an investment, because it will appreciate against the local currency. So that could be an issue, but we'll figure it out. And I think just by the sheer amount of users with crypto, eventually should start happening. But I also don't think it's needed. I don't like. I think there is a fixation on the use case, but crypto can be extremely successful and never been used by buying groceries.
What do you think will be the main use cases going forward, especially in Latin America?
Well, there are many use cases that are very important. Stablecoins is already a very important use case, and it keeps growing in every market. But the one that I'm super bullish is real world assets and security tokens. Mainly because capital markets are tiny across Latin America, except from Brazil, which has developed a stock exchange, and it has a really good infrastructure. The central bank is very very advanced, and and the regulatory framework is also good. But across the rest of Latam, access to capital markets is very very small, and the size of it is small.
Yeah.
So that hinders a lot economic development. And for example, in the US, a startup gets seed funding because an angel investor is speculating that the company is going to grow, it's going to be a successful use case, or it's going to be a good product or company, and someone else is after they build some value, there's going to be a Series A. And there's going to be a Series A because there's going to be a Series B, and everybody's speculating about the next phase, and eventually IPO, which is that will be the main goal. From 100 investment, maybe one makes it, and it pays back for all the rest of the investments. But in order to IPO in the US, it's very expensive, and it is one of the largest economies in the world, and you had to have $100 million, $200 million in revenue to justify an IPO in NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, because you're gonna be spending $5 million a year on legal fees and compliance and reporting. So it became so expensive that the bar for doing an IPO is getting bigger and bigger, and that's why even in the US it's taking longer to IPO. That's why, for example, the stock option contracts are 4 years, because before it took 4 years to do IPO, from idea to successful company, IPO took that short of time. Right now it's taking 7 to 10 or even more. Companies in Latin America doesn't have that. So very few companies can get to that level to get into public markets, and public markets give you the cheapest source of debt, and companies that made it there have another trajectory. But if you're a local company that maybe does $10 million in revenue, $20 million in revenue, maybe you're a good company, you produce a lot of information, you are growing, but maybe you never get there. So there is going public. This is just one example, but going public locally doesn't make sense, because there is no market, there is no liquidity, there is no volume, and it will be a lot of hurdle without a return, and the traditional market is too far away. And I think tokenization and real world assets is going to allow a lot of companies to become public with a token, and that can build that venture capital market that today doesn't exist. And today in Latin America, there is more people with crypto than access to stocks or with the stocks.
So it's similar to any crypto protocol or dApp would do today, just issue a token. But the difference here is that what you think will happen is that non-crypto companies will maybe issue tokens that are linked to their equity, right? Like
that is one of the examples. No, like it's gonna be a lot more than just tokenization of equity. But that, like I think, like that alone for Latam will be like a big driver of growth because a lot of companies can become available globally. And there are many good brands that are really good companies that maybe they don't have the size to get to Nasdaq, but they can have a token and that can trade and globally, and they can get finance and grow. I think there is also going to be a lot of tokenization around real estate. That is also can drive a lot of growth. Spain has a sandbox for tokenization and a lot of it is around real estate, and I think that could also be another example that could drive a lot of economic growth across Latin America, giving liquidity to real estate.
It's really interesting. Going back to something you said earlier, that you were based in San Francisco, but you wanted to come build a crypto company in Argentina because you saw how useful it was, and the use cases that we're talking about. Stable coins, remittances, tokenizing equity. Those are all things that, as use cases maybe in the US or Western Europe, maybe there are things that people kind of take for granted, right? Like access to capital markets it's difficult, but it's a lot more accessible. The same thing for not just for issuers, but for investors. Like people invest in stocks regularly, right, in the US. But these are the kinds of use cases that, in the more developed world, people take for granted, but that here in Argentina and Latin America are such game changers. Like
in the US, you have more people with stocks than crypto.
Yeah.
Here you have more people with crypto than stocks.
That's crazy. So I think it's interesting to see how crypto can have such a huge impact in this region.
And it's gonna continue to be meaningful, and I think it's gonna just keep growing. And it takes always longer than one thinks, but it's amazing to see how much has evolved over the years. Now we are at a left in crecimiento. It's like full of startups. When we started, we were in a small community of startups. We had a space that was called Espacio Bitcoin. It was 6 companies. I think here there are 70, and there are so many more companies in the country that are working with crypto. It is amazing to see.
Hey everyone, I'm Ilya, and I'm inviting everyone to Bangkok, November 9 to 11.
You've been duped into thinking anything decentralized was ever gonna work. There's a better way. Stop wasting your time with all this blockchain and go back to the norm. Get a latte and stop trying to change the world. Oh, and this thing in November, Redacted, the hackathon, they're cushy office jobs out there, Everything is working as it should.
For our special event, Redacted. We're gonna dive into AI, we're gonna dive into Web3, chain abstraction, decentralization, and user-owner AI. I'll see you there.
So, looking forward, what do you think the impact will be of this new government in Argentina, of this emerging movement that is crecimiento? I mean, do you think it will drive more startups to build here, that Argentina can actually become a global hub for crypto? Or
today, the government is focusing very pressing issues and not so much in opportunities, and that's understandable because the challenges are very big. The country just barely avoided hyperinflation, and just the fact that in December it was for sure that we were going to have a hyperinflation, and that was avoided. It is close to a miracle. And there are like very pressing things that the government is focusing today, and it's like maybe the agenda is not so crypto focused as one will love, around like like taking opportunities for growth and push them. But there are things that are getting developed. There is a lot of work done around like having a sandbox for security tokens and tokenization. I think that has really good chances of happening this year. And maybe we see that. I think we need more than a sandbox to make it really successful. I think we need to changes in laws, but the government is receptive to study these things. From Crecimiento, there is a lot of talk about making an economic zone for the development of crypto. I really hope that happens, and it's we're gonna have to see like if that comes to fruition or not. But I do think that amazing things are going to come out of this, but you never know what. I think like it reminds me a lot like of different moments in time and space across the history of crypto. Like it reminds me of Espacio Bitcoin, where like we were like 6-7 companies there. Like RSK was in the same floor than us, and well, the team that later did RSK, like at the time they were just working on consulting, but we were there, and there was later like in the next cycle in 2018, and there was a space called a co-work called Voltaire. And from there came out Open Zeppelin, Hard Hat, Decentralized, Moon Wallet, like these hubs of like these intense communities that they all feed each other and like work intensely. I don't know what is going to come out, but I feel the same energy, and I think like amazing things are going to come out of this. I'm sure there's going to be great things that are going to happen for crypto. Is to see if that it actually sediments here in Argentina, and it requires more than just the will of the community. But I'm sure for crypto, there's going to be great things that are going to happen.
Awesome. Related to that, do you think that companies serving Argentina or serving Latin America need to be here, or can I don't know, a U.S. company also do the same job? And also just framing the question in this narrative that I hear a lot in conferences, where a lot of teams are worried about people in the U.S. not looking at the user in emerging nations, who are usually the ones who can see the most change with crypto, like we were talking about before. But I'm wondering, maybe it's okay that they're not looking at Latin America so much because like teams here are building for users here. I don't know. What's your take on that?
I think it's really hard to work for a specific country when you're not there. I think there is a lot more opportunities for partnerships. We did not announce it, but we partnered with Coinbase to help them on and off ramp on Coinbase Wallet.
Oh, really?
That is live, but it's not announced. It's gonna be
we
announced.
Got a little scoop there. Nice.
But, so I think there is a lot more opportunities to do these kind of things with global companies, with local companies. But I also think like local entrepreneurs have like more knowledge to the ground on what things are going to be more impactful that are just local. But I also think like over the years, like the world is like becoming like more the world. and like I think like entrepreneurs should also start looking more like solving issues for humanity, and like maybe 80% is that, and like just a few like some things that are very local, and entrepreneurs should scratch their own itches, so they should be solving their own problems, because it is something that they know and they want to be able to experience. So for an American that is not feeling the pain, to solve something for an Argentinian, it's most likely not going to work.
Makes sense. Super interesting. Okay, and then wrapping up, just looking forward for Ripio. What are you most excited about that you're working on or about to launch that you can hint?
That I can mention. Well, we're working a lot around tokenization, and we have like several things coming around that. And we also started to experiment a lot. So now that there is so much more offering about crypto, we're using our application, our initial wallet, to be a place for a lot more experimentation and more development for more savvy users that they can look for something that they cannot find somewhere else. One of that things is we have a card, a Ripio card associated with the wallet, and we have many protocols, DeFi protocols integrated with the wallet. One of them is Capify, which is on La Chain, which is a blockchain that we are incubating. And one of the things that we're building is to today with the card you can pay with any of your cryptos, and it makes a trade. But most of the users don't want to spend their crypto. They don't want to spend their Bitcoin or ETH, especially because they are very long. They have Bitcoin forever. So we're building a new mode for the card that is going to allow you to borrow against your position. So it's like the assets, your Bitcoin ETH that you put on DeFi. It's going to be your collateral. This is going to be on chain, so it's a line of credit on chain, and you're going to be borrowing when you tap. So basically, connecting our Visa card to the network. It's very similar to what it is today because there is a trade of crypto, but you're gonna have like Bitcoin and ETH or like any asset that you're long, and borrow in what you think is a weak currency, and a local stablecoin or a crypto dollar, and that is one of the things that we're building and like experimenting with our user base. That so far there is nothing like that similar.
Super interesting. And this is on your blockchain that you are incubating.
Yes.
La
so
Chain?
this is gonna be all running in La Chain because also it needs to be very low fees and very fast.
And what kind of, is it like a layer 2 or like what?
It's EVM compatible. We're basing it on Get, so it's like Ethereum.
Okay.
And today it runs like an L1, and it's like Ethereum compatible, all with Solidity. We started working on it a year ago. Today it has 8,000 transactions per day, 12,000 active addresses, and it has a very good traction.
We're getting super kind of detailed, but it's really interesting. How do you avoid liquidation risk, or do you close your position right away? Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, it is gonna have liquidation risk. We're gonna start it with small borrowing limits, so that we have plenty of time to warn the user that they're gonna be entering liquidation risk to repay it or to add more collateral. And this is something that we're gonna have to learn a lot with the user. So that's why we are launching it like initially with a small set of users, learn from that experience and grow it. And then like what we are thinking for a wallet is to be a more advanced place with maybe more savvy users, maybe more disposable income, but we can experiment there, and what we learn there we can later bring it back, bring it to our B2B offering, and put in the entire platform. So that's how we are thinking about our retail offering.
Very, very interesting. When do you plan to launch this?
Oh, let's hope by the end of Q3.
Okay.
So it's been in developing. We started talking about it with our community and gathering beta testers. I'm gonna be the first user, and then a second one, and then
Very cool.
100, and maybe hundreds of thousands.
And then to wrap up, it looks like you're creating this whole ecosystem that just spans the spectrum of crypto. Like you have a centralized wallet for retail, but also for businesses, and you also have the more on-chain, decentralized side with your own layer 1 and this kind of DeFi.
It's not only us, it has a set of partners that are all local companies, but we are the ones that are incubating it and pushing it.
Nice.
But yes, so it is, we do a lot of things. They are all around access to crypto and the base pipelines, the basement where people can come in and work and do the fun things and build up on top of it. And we always saw us as a company that can foster adoption. And initially it was with a wallet, because that was very early days, very retail. Now has expanded into something a lot more complex, because there are a lot more users, there are a lot more segments that have a lot more needs. We didn't even cover that much ROTC, but ROTC trades with over 2,000 companies that use stablecoins or other assets for their operations, and that also is growing a lot. But they're all things that allow access to crypto and also fits into our liquidity. That also makes it stronger, deeper, and with more volume. It's kind of our feedback loop to make it stronger and grow bigger.
Awesome. Okay, so improving access to crypto, is it going in the future review going to be still for Latin America focus, or do you ever see it expanding beyond?
I think Latin America is large enough. It also expands a bit into the US, it ends in Orlando. So that's why we have a license in Florida and have a lot of trading with companies in the US.
Yeah, Florida is practically LATAM.
Practically LATAM.
Yeah.
But I think we have a lot more knowledge about Latin America, and we are here, and it will be very hard for us to know how we can create value and improve the lives of people in Asia.
It's what you were saying before, you know what you know.
Yeah, you know what you know.
Awesome.
Well,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah,
I
this
love
has
it.
been amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for inviting me.